plow through a car faster. I mean, to me, because this is the corded version, you might as well take advantage of the power and go ahead and turn and churn with the bigger pads. You can put the smaller pads on there.
Yeah.
I do find that tool, once you become proficient with it, that you can maximize your time by jumping up to the larger pads.
Sure. And then the next hottest item that I wanted to talk about, these are a challenge to find out on the internet right now, because literally when these come in stock, they go right back out of stock. It's a very popular item right now. It's the Pixie. We call it the PXE80. Mike calls it the Pixie. It comes with two the 12 volt, 2.5 amp batteries, high speed charger. But the real cool thing about this is the quick change.
Yes.
You literally pull the collar on this, comes right out. We can go to a rotary.
Quick and simple, easy.
So I'll show you here real quick.
Let me zoom in. Sorry, I was maintaining the socials. Go ahead.
So it's quick change from rotary right to your 3 millimeter or your 3-inch pad with your 12 millimeter throw. You also have in the kit is a 3 millimeter throw, which is great for sanding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the 3 millimeter throw is really great. That's really what that's designed for, is your sanding pads.
Gotcha. Do spot repairs.
Just another great unit. One of our hottest items this year. So.
And no cord.
No cord.
Yeah.
Cut the cord.
Yeah. So the Pixies, it's a complement to the other tools that you have. It lets you get in, work thin panels, tight areas, and I really like it for doing swirl removal on thin panels. Is what it's primarily for.
Yeah, or your pillars or anything. There's
anything
all kinds.
like that. Yeah.
Thanks for having us here today,
Oh,
Mike.
yeah, thanks for being here. Yeah. And I always love when I have guys like this in my big 3-day classes or my 2-day classes, because it takes some of the load off me. And I find that people that take the classes, while they will want to come and ask me questions about all this cool stuff, it's also nice to hear it from someone that actually is officially connected with the company, and then they can compare answers. Well, he said that. And then we can fight later on.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Chris.
Thanks, Mike.
And next up, Jason, how's your eyes?
I'm still seeing circles here, so I don't know if it's a buffing pad or a light.
We know the lights work. You have a brand new tool, and you guys were so kind to send 6 of these things, so we'd have them available for the people attending the class this weekend, and pads to go with them.
Yes, and that'll be the first place to be able to test that unit. So we're honored to be here and able to share that with your class.
You know, the first car I have lined up to use these on tomorrow is a Maserati, black. It's your time to shine.
So yeah, this is new, and we've been working on this for a while. A lot of you may have seen this at SEMA and Mobile Tech and a couple other places. This is our Udos 51E, which is 5-in-1. So this machine is a rotary. It's an 8 millimeter sander, 12, 15, and 21 millimeter long throw DA. And it's very simple to adjust. Simply line up your backing plate and the collars, and then you simply adjust to the next orbit that you want to be in.
Can you do that again for me real quick?
Oh, sure.
All right,
Sure.
and go.
Okay. So it's just simply rotate to your next orbit.
Bonus. Thank you.
Also has a unique feature into the backing plate. If you'll take a look, looks sort of like those side ducts on that Ferrari you got back there, Mike.
Yeah.
And there's no coincidence there. That's actually what that is. So that extracts the heat and
Tilt
forces
it up a
heat.
little bit for me.
Sure. Forces the heat down into the pad and keeps the pad running cooler. And so I've actually noticed a reduction in pad temps. We all know that the enemy of pads is heat.
Oh, yeah.
So that helps reduce that failure that you may occur and prolongs the life of the pads. And again, rotary. So a lot of guys, you want to go grab your rotary if you got something real heavy and quick to cut. But I find that I get a lot more use out of one pad in being able to change the orbits. So if you come across a defect, rather than setting it down, go and grab your rotary or different compounds and polishes, simply put it in a rotary, take care of your defect, and then switch back to your DA mode to finish. As he was talking about aggregates and stuff, we find that some of these work different when they tumble or they shear. It's the same thing you'll find with a polisher. I noticed that if you get into sticky or soft paints, you're grabbing different pads, you're grabbing different compounds and polishes. We find that you can simply go down in your throw to a smaller throw, the 8 or the 12, and you don't have the micro marring. So
Gotcha.
rather than playing around, you can do that all on the fly with the tool. When we also have a dedicated pad line to go with that. Our new micro wool pad, you take a look, that's a pretty unique weave, very short pile wool, very aggressive for quick cut. And all these pads are designed to work in both rotary and the DA. There's a lot of foams there that are specific to the machine. We designed these and are using foams that will work in both modes. So
And these are proprietary to this tool. You make a lot of pads, but the only place you find these particular foam formulas are the pads that are made for this tool.
yes, that's correct. These are actually unique to us and different. They have active rebound technology. I've had these, maybe 6 months, and the nice thing about these, you can wash these hundreds of times.
Oh, good.
And still just as good as new. So a little bit different technology in the pad itself. So you're absolutely right.
Well, I know everybody coming to this class is going to get a chance. We've got, I think, a total of, 16. I think we've got about 16 cars here. And so everybody's going to get a chance to use all the tools on all the cars. And that's one of the things I like about the classes we teach here is there's so much hands-on, and you get to use the tools. And for me, I like to consider myself an equal opportunity exploiter. I like to show this stuff, but let you make up your mind if you like it or not. So thank you for being here to represent LC Power Tools, bringing in the tools and the pads. And it's going to be a long 3 days, but it's going to be a fun 3 days.
Absolutely.
Okay, then over here we've got Mr. Rod Kraft with Griot's Garage.
That's it? That's all you're going to give me? No more build-up than that?
Hey,
Goodness gracious.
You know, Rod.
What's
you
the
go-
title today?
You
Yeah,
go
really.
wherever you want to go in this little talk.
Anyways, Mike, thanks for having us here. I really appreciate it. So, as you can see here, we've got our G9. This is one of the kind of the most recent upgrades that we did to all of our entire DA orbital lineup. And the G9 is the tool that's taking place instead of the GG6 that we've had for many, many years. And that was actually our third generation orbital that we designed in-house. And the G9 is kind of, to me, over the top. It's got all the bells and whistles that somebody, and I know you kind of refer to people that want to use this tool as kind of the gateway orbital or
Entry level, yeah.
Entry level,
Yeah,
right?
entry level tool.
And so even though for the price point and your term of entry level, I really think that for that novice and even the professional detailer, this is a tool that's going to give them all the bells and whistles that they're going to need. So it starts out with a 6-inch backing plate, and we can downsize this to a 5-inch.
Yeah.
So even though it's a 9 millimeter, so standard DAs like the Porter cables and some of the other ones in the industry are all 8 millimeter. So that extra millimeter throw is going to give them a little bit more effectiveness and defect removal. Downsize that to the 5-inch backing plate, so they've got a couple of options there. And what's nice is that we can utilize all of our boss pads with this as well.
That is nice, yes.
So from microfiber, even our new knitted wool pads that we're coming out with, which is
Okay.
going to be really nice.
Hey, something new there.
Absolutely. Something pretty unique, as you described earlier, the enemy of pads is heat, right? So we know that the biggest challenge is that hook and loop, as it moves back and forth, is generating friction,
Yes.
right? And that friction causes heat, delamination, pad failure, et cetera, et cetera. And so on the side here, we have these vents or gills, as we might want to call them. And so that draws air in.
Okay.
And something else that's really neat inside here is we have a patent pending kind of a fanned counterweight. So on the outside of that counterweight is a fan. Goodness gracious, am I boring you?
It's been a long day.
All right. I'm Rod. I'm with Griot's Garage.
This is live.
Goodness gracious.
Sorry about that. I had a yawn.
Couldn't have done it with the other guys. Had to do it with
Break
me.
it up.
So anyway, so the gills here draw air in, right?
Okay.
The counterweight with the fan on it pulls the air down into the vented backing plate, therefore
Gotcha.
into the pad, keeping
Okay.
your pad and the surface temperature that you're working on significantly cooler.
And heat is the enemy of pads. And
is.
also, it's not good to heat up clear coats.
Right, exactly. And, it's not going to have a rotary effect, but
Yeah.
you can still warm up a panel pretty well with a DA. One unique feature that we did, this is pretty cool for tool storage and just overall efficiency, is we can take the tool now, detach the cord, store it, right? And then I can have this cord plugged in and work with other tools that we have in the entire lineup. Everything is now a detachable cord
Gotcha.
process, so I can take all the tools. There we go. So that's you're going to toss it over
Yeah.
there? So Yancy's holding up our G8 here.
Yeah.
So what's nice is, you know, as a detailer myself and having a business many years ago, I can't tell you how many cords I had laying all over the shop.
Yeah.
And I'm swapping cords, so sometimes I just give up and let them all kind of intertwine. And
Yo,
untangle.
big mess.
So now I can just keep this one cord plugged in and swap out all my tools.
Like it, yeah.
And it's the same for both our GR3 that we just launched.
Okay.
I brought one here.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have it to show and tell just yet.
Okay.
And then our G15s and G21s that are on their way to you guys relatively soon.
Okay, well, and one thing I just want to point out is just like you can put a smaller backing plate on this, you also have a 2-inch backing plate for the GA.
That's correct. So this will come with a 3 and a 2-inch backing plate right in
Okay.
the box.
Yeah.
So now we just launched an entire series of new pads. So we're revamping some of our pads. Our microfibers are changing, and our knitted wool pads are coming down the line to you guys pretty soon. And the GR3, which is pretty cool, I'm super excited about it because I grew up, like you, using rotaries a lot.
Yes.
That's really what I knew the most of. So that GR3 is going to come with a 3, 2, and a 1-inch backing
Wow.
plate,
Yeah.
and a 2-inch and a 3-inch extension as well.
Wow, I wish we had one here to look at.
Well, you'll see one tomorrow. All right.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that the G3 then is a micro rotary. Is that
It's
what
we,
it is?
we call it a mini rotary.
Mini rotary?
Right, right.
Okay.
Really nice. It's good for getting into those hard to reach areas, spot repair.
You bet.
You know, we talked about A pillars and some of those recesses and body lines that are just not conducive to using a tool like this.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, and for the small areas, you know, you can get away with rotary where you can't get away with the DA. So it's
Right.
gonna be hard to maintain pad rotation.
And so if you were to use the GR3, that rotary, you can actually come back and chase the swirls out if you do create any.
Yeah.
We all know that we try to be really good at not creating
Oh,
swirls.
sure. Yeah, yeah. Wow. So then we got one more guy here. We got Justin Labato. And Justin, is there anything new from Buff and Shine that you'd like to share with us?
All right, hold on, and let me pull him right up here. Bum, bum, bum.
And then for
Not
us
me.
guys, we want to look at the camera.
Oh, okay.
If we
Thanks
look
for pointing that out.
Yeah, I guess it can be confusing. So.
All right, Justin, it is your turn. Take it away, senor.
Are we supposed to hear?
We're supposed to smile, look at the camera. You'll have to share a little bit with us, Yancy. Yeah.
Should have Justin.
No, he can't hear you at all.
We just assume you're sharing great stuff.
I can see. You can talk as bad as you want about them, and they can't tell you.
We're just going to go back and watch it.
That sounds like a plan to me there, Justin. Let me turn around and get you guys back over where they can see what you're doing. But basically, everybody that is out there, just bear with me. We had a last-minute little change with the Zoom meeting here, so that's why we're kind of flying live. Hey, it's live. What do you expect?
That's on me. There was a miscommunication.
It's
You
okay.
said live. I figured live on Zoom.
It's okay. It's okay.
But we'll make it happen.
I'm making it happen as much as I can. So now
You guys look so happy just standing there watching. Look at all your
It's like
faces.
your disciples right there. All right, so what I want to do is let me go ahead and I'm going to bring me up. I'm going to see here. No, I don't want that. I'm going to bring me in and let's. Actually, I'm going to drop you, Justin, for a second. And then I'm going to come back in and let's bring up some.
Question time.
Hey, you're on over there. You hear yourself in the background. Okay, let's go ahead and let's bring some questions in. So, with that being said, question and answer time, everybody. We will be with you in 1 second, and yeah, you can go grab some water. You're all good. All right, let's start back through the back. I did see on YouTube that there was one question a little bit ago. So let's go ahead and aim that over this way. 3401, he wants to know, is it labeled a rotary or is it labeled a forced rotation? How would you label that? It's not, they're wanting to know, is it a DA or is it a rotary?
I mean, I'll the way I always explain it, and I don't know if I heard this from you, Mike, or where I bring this to the table, but basically far left I always say is your heavy correction rotary. Far right is your free spinning orbital unit. And the forced action unit, which is what I label the 3401, which I believe you say, is kind of in that middle. When you're talking about a scale, is that?
Yeah.
I think I've heard that from you before.
Well, I'll share what I say. Is a lot of people refer to the 34 as a forced rotation tool. That's wrong. That's a rotary buffer. Forced rotation. This is forced rotation and oscillation. So it's two actions. So it's two actions. So it's kind of really unique. There's a couple other tools like it on the market, but remember when you're out there in the cyber world, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you're at, and you see guys talking about the 3401 as a forced rotation tool, just understand that they're technically incorrect. It's forced rotation and forced oscillation. Two actions, not one. Forced rotation is a rotary buffer or a rotary polisher.
Like gear-driven orbital? Is that a better way of?
Gear-driven orbital is a better way to describe it. Yeah,
There you go.
gear-driven orbital. And it's not gear-driven random orbital because there's nothing random about it. It's a fixed,
No, it's fixed,
orbital
yeah.
pattern. So there's free-spinning random orbital and there's gear-driven orbital. But yeah, to refer to the 3401 or the Beast or the Super Beast as a forced rotation tool is technically incorrect.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Let's go back. Let's see here. Dave, this one's for you, Mr. Rod. He has been using his GG6 since 2011, my first purchase from Autogeek. So
Awesome.
We appreciate that. Now, can you, since we're talking about the GG6, what is the differences of the G9 and the GG6? Can you just briefly discuss that?
Sure.
That way people know that they have the GG6. What it is?
Absolutely. So, we still, the good thing is that even though those GG6s are still out there, in the market, which is a good thing because it's a sign to the quality of the tool that it's been, out there for quite a while. So it still has a lifetime warranty. So I would say, Dave, it's Dave, correct?
Yes.
Just keep using it, Dave. The tool should provide all the power you need. It's 850 watts. So in a random orbital free spinning tool, you can take what I like about that tool in particular is it's 6-inch, 5-inch, or you can put one of our 3-inch heavy duty backing plates on there and get into some of those tight spots, the A pillars and some of those hard to reach areas. The vast difference between the GG6 and the G9, not just the design of the tool and the ergonomics, is the 1,000 watts that this tool brings to the table, detachable cord, ambidextrous speed control on here. You've got a nice little cradle to rest this thing where on the GG6, it's a great tool, but if you take the handle off, it'll tend to tip over.
Yeah.
Exactly. You've got the vents on the side. Even though you can use this backing plate on the GG6, it's perfectly fine. It's the same thread pattern for the backing plate itself. This has serviceable ports for the brushes, where the GG6, it's a little bit more cumbersome to get in there and service that tool. So overall, plus the vents on the side, this tool is just, to me, engineered beyond,
It's an evolution in
it's
the
super cool.
past tool.
We've got the double shot rubber strategically placed around here, fits your 4 fingers really nice and comfortable. So you've got multiple positions to place your hands for polishing. I personally am just super stoked about this G9, and the price point is not much more than the GG6 was from the beginning.
A lot of power.
So hopefully that answers his questions.
When I wrote my review for this tool, one of the things I said about it was one of the first tools where normally I take it all the way up to the high speed for doing correction work. Well, I was keeping it down around the 5.
Yeah.
I was still able to maintain great pad rotation without going all the way up to the 6. So lots of power.
Right.
Okay, now this one will be from Alan. This is for you, Dr. B. Dr. Beasley, are you guys going to be doing anything to improve your spray balls? They always break. Love your products, though.
Is this the spray trigger sprayers?
Alan, if you're there real quick, can you jump that up? But I'm pretty
Spray
sure
bottles.
that
Maybe it is broke. I think we may have had, this may have been a few years ago, but so we have changed it. We've got a new sprayer now. If you want a new sprayer, just email us and we'll send you out a few.
Okay.
Apologize about that.
No, it's okay. Hey, it's okay. Maybe just don't mad dog the sprayer.
Well, feedback is always good because it helps you
Yeah,
improve. It helps you
absolutely.
improve. If it's a weak area, a hole in your line, and now you know.
All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to pull this out. Justin, I'm going to bring you back up in here, so just hold on 1 second. Zoop. And this one, I need, hold on. I'm bringing Justin back up in. All right, there you are, Justin, because this one's kind of for all of you guys. Justin, talk for me real quick. Make sure I still got your audio.
Hey now.
All right, cool. All right, let's see here. He's going to ask for any opinions. Okay, this one's for everybody. So if y'all just kind of get in on this. BCQA, I don't know exactly what your name means, but that's what I'm saying. I just got here, so please excuse me if it's already been asked. Opinions on traditional clay versus synthetic, and synthetic mitt versus sponge, etc. So what are you guys' thoughts about clays, I guess, is what he's asking. Synthetic clays.
I'll let you guys go first. You guys have some really unique clay replacement tools out there.
Yeah. So I can speak for probably everybody here if you've ever detailed a car. When it comes to claying a vehicle, the traditional clay, you've got to knead it, you've got to manipulate that. If you drop that piece of clay, you know what has to happen to it. It's got to go in the trash. Yep. I've seen many detailers pick the clay up and try to pull the piece of dirt out of there. The neat thing about the synthetic clays, whether it's a pad or a disc to go on your polisher. The Brilliant Finish synthetic clay pad that we actually offer too, which is a really nice little tool, or the mitts. And personally, I'm a fan of the mitt. Okay, we have all those tools that I can choose when I detail a car. I like the mitt better because if I take that piece of clay, the traditional clay, and I mold it into the patty that I need, and I lay it on top of that mitt in the corner, I look at the surface area or footprint that mitt provides. I've got much more to work with. And if I drop the mitt or the synthetic clay material, I can just rinse that off and keep using it.
I've seen a lot of people, they keep that mitt just in the bucket, in their wash area, and that's what what do you like?
I'm not a huge fan of that. There's no need to keep it wet. Personally, these can be rinsed out. You don't need to wash these. But the concept is that this polymer material gets kind of tacky. Mm-hmm. So it works very similar to what a clay does or traditional clay would do. We have, I believe we've recently dropped our fast surface prep mitt. We are now using our fine because I really feel that this does probably 99% of any challenges I'm going to come across as far as a bonded contaminant on the paint.
So I know like this weekend we're going to use the Sonax glass spray. So is that like what you would recommend? Just a lubricant in between it?
Is the glass spray, is it an alcohol-based product?
Offhand, I don't know.
I don't think it is.
But actually, with his stuff, we'll use Griot's products.
We'll use that. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's just for what it's worth. Whenever you're using any kind of a synthetic clay material, never use alcohol-based products. A lot of people use glass cleaners. They think it's better, it's going to flash off, but in reality, it can actually destroy your clay material.
Good tip.
I want to send this over to you, Justin, since you are in the trenches. You run a design shop, a detailing shop. Yeah, we switched places today, Justin. Why don't you give them your input on the clays and stuff like that and how you use them in your shop?
Well, I think a lot of what Rod covered was because broad spectrum of a lot of different ways to look at clay, which is really good coverage on that. However, from the aspect of being in the field doing this, I feel that you have to have all of them in your arsenal because you never know what vehicle is going to come in. And even though you may do a pre-inspection to set yourself up, it's always nice to have those tools in your arsenal so you always have that tool to be able to handle the job at hand. And that way, if it is the clay mitt, like what Rod said, that does handle the majority of most jobs, especially if you're dealing with like new vehicles. It's an easy no-brainer to have that one because it allows you to get the job done more effectively and efficiently. But if you do have an older or later model vehicle or a vehicle with overspray, you're going to have to go after that traditional clay and also pay attention to what grade clay that you're using so you have the right tool for the job instead of using something overly aggressive that may mar the paint too much and vice versa. So it's definitely for us as a shop, I always make sure that we have all of those items in stock in the shop so we can make sure that we have the right fit for the job. But our favorite is the mitt because of that. It handles most or the majority of paints on the market and it does a great job and it covers more surface area.
All right, cool. Now, also, just playing along with what Justin said, because I know you guys couldn't hear me. I was saying that you kind of needed to have both. You needed to have depending on the paint, some of the traditional clay is actually sometimes better and so forth. I don't mean to repeat it for everybody out there in the world, but my in-studio here, they can't quite hear what Justin's saying without a big echo going on, so I don't have that happening. But also, I just want to, wouldn't there be times where you would have a clay mitt and everything like that, then possibly you'd have to have the small traditional clay to get into areas where you can't get the mitts and
Absolutely,
and
right.
stuff.
Absolutely.
So let me just share my take on this. Last year at Mobile Tech Expo, I taught a class just on clay tools. So traditional clay, the clay towels, the clay pads, and the clay mitts. And one of the things I noticed from a video that Yancy and I shot was we artificially induced overspray paint onto a car to show how to use clay. And of all the different clays on the market, there's ultra fine, there's a fine, there's a medium grade, and there's a aggressive grade. The only thing that really took it off, including all the polymerized rubber products, was the aggressive clay. It was actually the Maguire's clay. And so I kind of thought in some cases, I prefer to use the rubberized, polymerized tools, the towels, the mitts, especially when I'm already washing the car's already wet. But there are cases where I found that what worked best was the traditional aggressive clay. And sometimes when I get a car in here to detail and I know the paint is soft just through either knowledge or through testing, then I kind of like to go with the ultra fine clays so I can reduce any potential for marring. Less work for me on the paint correction on the machine buffing side. So I'm kind of with Justin. I think it's nice. It's kind of like a master mechanic has a really nice tool set and he can pick and choose the right tool for the job. You really want to have a nice selection of mechanical decontamination tools.
Good point.
Okay.
Hey, I got a little question. This is a real neat little product. I haven't seen this before, but here's my question. Do you use this like a wash mitt? Do you use a bucket, and then you do a panel or something, and then you rinse this back off again?
Right, so these will be used post, like any traditional clay process, post-wash. So final
right.
rinse is done. You can leave the water on the finish
Key.
if you want. Come back and apply your detail spray, your lubricant, whatever it might be, and that's when you start utilizing this or traditional clay.
Okay, alongside a bucket to rinse it off. or
Right,
something.
yeah, so,
Okay.
and the beauty
Some
of
kind
this,
of-
right, if you drop this on the ground, you could just rinse this
Right,
off and
right.
keep using it.
And that when these mitts and towels came out, that was one of the things that was key because one side of this is actually microfiber. You could use this side to wash the car to loosen the dirt. The key is you've got to thoroughly rinse that car so all those dirt particles you loosened are now off.
Free of
Otherwise, you come back and smash that dirt between this rubber surface, you're going to put scratches in. So this is, like you said, post-wash rinse. Now re-lubricate the car. And in the wash process, you could either just dip that into your soapy water, or if you're using a foam gun or a foam cannon, foam the car and then take the nanoskin towel or the nanoskin mitt to it.
Right.
Polymerized mitt.
Good point.
All right. Let's bring up this one.
And we'll be covering all of these this weekend at this class. Every way to mechanically decontaminate a car, we will go over in this 3-day class.
Okay. Now let's bring up this one. Vincent's question: what are your tips, rule of thumb when using paint depth meters? I guess gauges.
Paint.
How do you go about guesstimating how thick a clear coat, paint, etc. on both dual stage, single stage paint? Any of you want to take that little rabbit hole?
I'll let you guys all take your best stab at it if you want to.
Wow. Well, so I'll just jump in here, and that is, what I've always been taught is, remove as little as possible to get the job done. Right? First, do no harm. It's kind of the doctor's creed. So if we approach that vehicle and we do all of our investigating, try to find out as much history about that vehicle before we start tackling that paint correction process, we want to know as much history about the paint as possible. There's a lot of telltale signs, swirl marks, sand marks, body panels that are mismatching in color. So if we have a paint thickness gauge, that is a great tool. Obviously, I can admit as a detailer, I've burned through some paint. It's a very humbling moment. And if I had a paint thickness gauge, it might have helped me get out of that situation. So that paint thickness gauge, this is really kind of your detective tool to find out, is that paint within factory specs per se. If you were to take a paint thickness gauge, and I guess I'm going to say that my understanding of most finishes today, I'm talking about total film build, from the steel panel, aluminum panel, or substrate to the outer layer. Mike, throw this number out there. Is it 5.5, 6.5 mils? It could vary, right, from manufacturer to manufacturer.
Yeah, and it's changing. And here's my take on it. Is first of all, these types of paint thickness gauges right here, one's 200, one's 700. They measure total film build. The paint thickness gauges that'll measure all the individual layers are very expensive. You have to take your measurements. It goes into a computer software program. And graphs it all out. By the time you've done that, you could have the car buffed out. I mean, people, it's great. It's great marketing to do all that, but it kind of goes back to use the least aggressive product to get the job done. But paint thickness, overall film build, it varies from manufacturer to manufacturer. Also varies on the panels. But a good range for a healthy amount of paint to work on it would be between 4 and 8 mils. 4 being on the thin side, 8 being on something I like to see. But here's what I use a paint thickness gauge for. This is a term I created and I use. It's a go or no-go decision-making tool. So if I take a paint thickness gauge and I bring it down on the hood of a car and I'm getting like 3 mils, I know I don't really feel comfortable compounding that car heavily.
Especially if it's clear coat.
Yeah, especially clear. I would just want to do a light polish and maybe point that out to the customer. If I see it's at 6, 7, and 8 mils, well, I feel pretty comfortable about compounding it. And then part of that is also educating the customer. So, you talk to the customer and say, I measured the paint on your car on the hood. It's really thin. Have you had this? Have you worked on this? Did you buy this used? Did you have it new? So you want to get the history of the car and then make good judgments on how aggressive you're going to get, because you don't want to remove any more paint than you have to. But I use them for a go or no-go indicator to tell me how thin the paint is and if I'm working on really thin paint. The other part of a paint thickness gauge is the marketing aspect. If I'm talking to a customer and I just want to say, well, let's take a couple readings of your paint. I bring this down and I measure something, and I come back and I go, well, we got some really thin paint here. Did you buy the car used? And they go, yeah, well, that's what you get when you get a used car, is you don't know the history of the car and you've got some thin paint on here. Moving forward, you want to do things that don't put scratches back in, because you can't keep on compounding this car. So I use them for 2 things, marketing and also as a go or no-go big picture indicator. But in the real world, I detailed cars for years, even decades, without a paint thickness gauge. And I did a test spot. I matched my package to my customer. Not everybody needs to have is going to pay for a multiple step paint correction, including heavy compounding. Some people just want a 1-step AIO, a cleaner wax. It's their daily driver. And for these types of jobs, you don't have to measure the paint. Just use the least aggressive product to get the job done. And I'll tell you one thing. There's so many people that spend so much time doing stuff like this, they don't get the car buffed out. You're not going to make any money.
All right, let's move on. Let's go ahead. This one's going to be kind of directed over towards you, Mr. Flex Guy. Considering the obvious advantage of using a cordless polisher such as a Flex Sea Beast, the situations would warrant the use of a corded flex Super Beast if they were indeed similar engineered polishers? Do you understand that question, or do you need me to repeat it?
It's pretty.
It's like a Jeopardy question.
I think they're asking why would you use one over the other?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think the good example is what we talked about yesterday when we were kind of setting up for this class.
Yes.
If I was in this environment and I had a shop, I'd probably use the Super Beast. And the bottom line, you need multiple tools in your arsenal. And where the cordless falls into is if I'm in a situation where maybe I'm at a dealership and I have a one-car garage where I'm doing my detailing. All of a sudden, that car gets pulled out, goes to the showroom or out on the dealer lot. Someone sees a little spot or a little area that needs to be a little touched up. That car doesn't have to come back around to the detail shop. You can take this cordless in your bag and your product and go right out on the lot and detail it. So there's so many aspects to the cordless unit in so many areas. I think it works well. And I know Justin might have something to say about this because I know a lot of guys that have picked up a cordless unit and started using it. It is hard to go back to the corded unit because now you don't have that cord and you're not dragging it around the floor and things like that. I will tell you though, the corded version, like we've talked about, has a little bit more power than the cordless unit. The cordless unit gets the job done. It just, with the battery and the way the motor design is in today, it's not quite as powerful as the corded version. That's just the truth. So
It's trade-off of having a battery and a cord.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much. But now, let's keep that where you guys are. Justin, did you want to put anything in on that? Because I know that he called you out a little bit on that.
No, I 100% agree. I mean, when other students, and I'm sure Mike could agree with me, when students get these polishers in their hand going from a corded machine to a cordless machine, they really enjoy the ergonomics of it and the way the smoothness is of the machine. It just sails as you polish.
I
plus
call
it's
that
good.
freedom. You have
Yeah,
freedom from
yeah.
being away from the cord. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about throwing it over your shoulder all the time. But yeah, and it's good for doing test spots. You're with a customer and you're out there and you want to do a quick test spot maybe for something, and it allows you to be able to knock that out and really show what the results can be in transition of their paint. And you don't have to worry about wheeling a cord out and doing all these other things. You can just grab the machine and go.
No, that is a great little tip there. Now, let's go back. Jason and Chris, this is directed at you two. Concerning the Udos polisher, a technological marvel indeed. Oh, the technology marvel is the engineering or the concept of the multi-use tool patented? And if not, is there any idea that my favorite flex company may be aligning their own similar? Ooh, competition.
no, I think I'll let him answer the patent technology or the patents they have on the product. There's a lot of patents on this product, and
Yeah, that was one thing that was really important to us. The engineer behind this actually has aviation engineering in his
shows
background.
in that tool right there.
Yeah, so there's a lot to this, and I have a lot of stories about this, and he built some things out of wood and some gears. That's just how he works, and it was very interesting to see this from the infantile stage to what it is. But yes, it is patented here in the U.S. It's also patented worldwide, and it's not just patented in the electric version as you see here. It's patented in pneumatic, hydraulic. So there is a lot of patent work put into this besides just the engineering of the tool. So.
And I would tell you, just like all of the manufacturers up here, that I know I speak for your company. I know I speak for your company as well. Our design teams design our products based on the research that they do. We're not going to take this tool and dip it in a bucket and copy it. That's not. That's not what we'll do. So
That's called China.
I'm not saying, I mean, the bottom line, our engineer team comes up with the design that we feel is best for the market. So, that's why we're all standing up here next to each other. We're not afraid to be next to each other. And, just like in Mike's classes, every product that we're going to use during your class, Mike, I mean, it has its place. It's part of your arsenal in the detail market.
Yeah, I like to show everything. I'd like to just touch on the difference between the cordless beast.
Oh, now we're going back a
and
couple
the corded
questions.
beast, because I get asked this question a lot. So here's what I tell people: if I've got a car with serious paint defects and I need to knock it out quickly, I mean, get it done, I'm going corded. if I got a car and the defects aren't too bad, there's nothing like the freedom of not having to drag a cord around a car, put it over your shoulder, any of that stuff.
Yeah, that's what Justin was saying.
Yeah,
Just the convenience.
It's the convenience of the corded is cool, but if I'm looking for speed, I'm going corded.
Okay, now let's go over to Jim. 2 questions for Jim. What Dr. Beasley's chemical is in your shop's biggest moneymaker? And 2, how tall are you?
That's only because I'm standing next to him. That's,
You gotta tell the Jeep.
shift a little
You gotta
bit?
tell the Jeep
Down.
story. He goes to,
I'm only 5 feet tall. These guys are shrimps.
and I'm standing on a stool.
he gets that called out yesterday at the rental place. The lady's like, I've got the right car for you. I think you need to be in a Jeep.
They put me in a Wrangler.
I'm 6'1".
So it must be 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
So I'm 6'4". Actually, I just went to the doctor and they said I was 6'3". And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I getting to that age where I'm
Going
starting to
backwards.
shrink?
Going backwards.
So you said in my shop,
Yeah.
what's the biggest moneymaker product?
Yeah.
Formula 1201, because it saves so much time.
Okay.
So if someone wants a quick wash and then a coating on there, you can do 1201 very quickly.
Goes over paint, plastic,
Everything.
glass.
Doesn't
Everything.
mark, badging,
Does it stain
everything.
anything?
No.
No.
Get it on the glass, it comes right off. And it's ceramic, so.
All right. Ooh, this could be a loaded one. All right, this is to you all. I should have like theme music. I'm like being bad here. I should have theme music going on here. 3401 or the Rupes 15 millimeter. I'm undecided. Your thoughts, please. What are everybody's thoughts? I know your thought over there, Chris. Is like I'm going to have
No,
3401.
I mean, the question I get all the time at SEMA, someone comes up to my booth that's never tried a flex, and they ask me, what tool would you buy? I mean, I would steer them all day to a forced action orbital, the 3401, if I was looking for a one tool that does it all.
Gear-driven orbital.
I'll let everybody else speak their piece.
I would have to ask him what he's using now and what his experience is with other
Sure.
tools up to that
That's a
point,
good call,
right? You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Here's what I
okay.
would do. I always tell this to people, look at the name of the finisher. The finisher.
Oh, that actually brings me up. There's another question.
It's not
the
the heavy-
Super Beast. What is real quick while you have that? What is the actual name? They're asking for the actual name instead of Super Beast.
It's the XCE 10-8.
There you go. All right. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Mike, but that just reminded me.
I get this question all the time between the 3401 or the finisher or any of the beast tools versus the finisher. Look at the name of the finisher, okay? If you're going to do heavy correction, that's not the right tool. It's the finisher. So I've met guys that are, I'll just say it, they're older. They're not really detailers. They're just taking care of their car, like, say, the Corvette behind me. And they're not trying to go out there and knock this car out in a few hours. So they like the finisher. It's easy to use, low vibration, no cords. You know, they're not doing heavy correction. But if you're a detailer, you're going to need something with some power. So out of the two tools, go gear driven.
Okay. All right, well, let's stay right there because this kind of plays right into it. Does Flex have a different battery size options like DeWalt and similar other power tools? A 1.5 AH, 3 AH?
So in the 18 volt, we have a 2.5 amp battery and a 5 amp battery. In the 12 volt, we have 3 options. We have the 2.5 amp 12 volt, we have a 4 amp and a 6 amp hour battery. All that the amperage does is allows you to have longer run time. So like on the 6 amp, I think the testing you did with a Pixie, you're getting over an hour of run time with the 6 amp. That's actually use on the car. So every time you literally turn the unit on, turn it off, that's your clock, start to stop. So, that's also a question you get all the time. It's like, so you're saying 30 to 45 minutes of runtime with your 18 volt battery? That's actually start the clock, stop it when you stop, and on the car.
Okay, now going back to the previous question about 3401 and Rupes, he is using a portable and dual rotary. I already used.
Porter cable and
Porter
DeWalt.
cable. I'm going to have to say you're saying Porter cable.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a big jump, right? From that Porter cable to the 3401 or the 15.
Yeah, I mean,
But it might be the next progressive.
It's a good jump, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people have jumped from the Porter cable directly to the 3401. And I always ask people, if you've never tried the 3401, give it a full day's work, a full job, and understand it. And you'll understand why people call it the moneymaker or the Beast, and those different names.
Well, now you have the Udos there that you don't need all the different tools. So there's a brand for everything and a thing for everybody. So, I mean, that's why you need to come to one of these classes, right, guys?
That's
that
right.
way
Absolutely.
you get your hands on all these tools. Let's go back into here. I speak Spanish. I understand it, but I don't understand that.
Don't have to do time to do Google
Might not be
Translate.
Spanish.
Yeah. Okay, let's go here. Justin. This one's coming to you, Justin. What are the various attributes favorable and unfavorable between flat and waffle weave textured pads? And actually, buddy called Jason, you'd have a good question on that too. So let's start off with Justin, then we'll hand it over to Jason.
All right, so various attributes, favorable and unfavorable between. So it said between the waffle weave and flat pads.
Yes, waffle weave and flat textured pads.
All right, so with the waffle weave, I mean, it's just a different concept of a pad. And if I could remember correctly, with that, it also allows for more air circulation from underneath the pad versus the flat pad hugging the surface a lot more. I'm more of a flat pad guy. Most of the events I've been to have been wrapped around more flat pads, no matter what the manufacturer may be. Hopefully it's Buck and Shine. But you're able to cover the surface area and grab and hug the surface more with the flat pad. I feel the results are better, but everybody's a little different. That's why they have the waffle weave, on the market, because it does work for some. And if you're finding that it does work for you, then keep using it and get the job done.
Yeah, use what you like and use it often. Now let's kick that over to you. He was basically saying that waffle weave, from what he understood, is it gets a little bit of air, keeps the pad a little bit cooler. For a waffle weave pad, then the flat pad is what his go-to pad really is. What would you have to say along those lines?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And waffle pads were some of the first in the industry with 3M and popular in body shops and carried over to detailing. Justin is right. So there's a couple things with the fingers that it does let the air in there, so it runs cooler. But it also reduces skipping. So you got little fingers as opposed to a large flat surface that's trying to grip. So those were the two main things behind the waffle design. It also holds some of the polish up in the pockets of the pad. For me, it's kind of a personal preference. The waffle pads also tend to, as you reach into a contour, the fingers kind of follow the contour of the panel. So it's a little bit easier for some people that aren't, really skilled with the scalping or some of the other techniques. I personally prefer flat pads, not to take anything away from waffle, but I just feel a little bit more skilled getting in the contours and so forth. And I could
Justin
feel.
agrees with you.
Yeah, and I could feel the way that the compound is working on the pad. I just prefer the flat, but that's kind of what I've been used to. I also came from, automotive and marine, but I like to just go at it. I don't necessarily need to have a waffle pad to handle those contours, but it is personal preference. And the waffle pads, they tend to reduce a little bit of heat, like we mentioned, because of the air. But with the technology in foams, technology with the center hole and other things, the heat really isn't as much as an issue with the newer flat pads.
Okay. All right. Let's move
Hold on. Let's do a flat pad or a waffle weave pad.
I mean, I typically use a flat pad, and with the 3401, I like that thicker profile. I think that's important, and the 3401 is what I have in my personal garage. That's what I detail my parents' cars and things like that with, and I just like that larger profile flat pad.
Okay, so flat pad. How about you?
Flat.
How about you?
I was going to say flat. I'm just going to explain why. That waffle pad, from my past life and experience, is we talked about those pockets. Is you get sometimes product retention sitting inside there, and that product will dry. That residue can be a nightmare if you come across a leading edge or a contour. Pull that out, you're going to start the risk of a swirl mark from that.
Well, and one other thing I'll add too, those pads were designed before we had long throw polishers, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So as you get into 15 and 21, the long throws, all those tips are doing are kind of dancing around. So you're a little bit more efficient with a different foam pad that transfers that power directly to the paint.
Larger footprint.
Correct.
I actually was calling on body shops before 3M invented that. And I called on a shop one time. It was in Eugene, Oregon. And I was showing him McGuire's flat pad. And there was a 3M rep there. And he was saying, those foam pads are never going to work. And about a year later, they introduced the convoluted three, whatever that 3M pad is. The thing I'm kind of like with Rod, with the flat pad, you can take a nylon brush and just take and go whack, 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 and clean the entire face off quickly. With anything with a design, now you'd have to stop and actually get the bristles into the pockets to try to scrape it out. It's a time killer to me, because you always want to work clean.
Work smarter, not harder. That's the way I run my life. This question, I think it's the same guy asking it, or if not, what do you call it? Somebody else asked it. Can you use the rotary backing plate extension on the G8?
No.
No,
No,
not the right thread.
not the right thing.
And it'd also be wobbling all over the
Right,
Right.
right.
Then have it, Justin, he's like, wow. Okay, now that we're going back. Let's stay with you, Rod. The new product, your new
GR3?
Yeah, GR3. When is that going to be released?
We are expecting that any day now. I'd say within the next week, we're expecting that to be in inventory
Okay.
and shipping.
Then the new long throws, the G15.
We are just in a little bit of a situation on that right now with our backing plates.
Okay, but it's coming.
Oh, it's absolutely coming,
Alright.
and we're super excited about it.
Okay, all right. So
Is that public knowledge?
It is public knowledge.
Okay, because I got one sitting
well,
over there.
they're talking about that. I guess you guys are having a
We're
live
having a little
feed.
YouTube live thing later
Yeah,
today,
yep.
7 p.m. Eastern time.
Nice
Or-
little plug.
Yeah.
Well, just for fun, walk over and grab it.
Yeah.
Just for
we'll
fun.
grab
Beat it too. Beat him to the punch.
Okay, let's hear. Yeah, that's right. You have one
not
at
saying
6.
that's
We saw it on
Brandon's
Autogeek
going.
first.
Let that cat out of the bag. All right, just real quick before that one, let's bring in Contra Vida. I'm going to stop doing last names because I always destroy them. Are polishers made in the U.S.? If not, are there any plans on moving production here? I don't know which one of these you guys are talking at, but Germany for a flex?
Germany, yeah.
This is assembled in Wisconsin, USA.
All right, and Griots?
Overseas.
Overseas? Okay, so that's where we're at. Now, since you have that one out there, and now I can bring our dun dun dun. You seen it here first? No, just joking. Go ahead.
So, and if you look at this, obviously there's a lot of similarity between the G9 and the G21. Some of the differences that you might notice if you had these two side by side is that the mid body or section here is a little bit longer on the G21 than it is on the G9. That's to house this 1100 watt motor that we put in here. Otherwise, the vents, the trigger, the lock button, the ambidextrous speed control on the sides, same design, same format. One big difference, though, is instead of the counterweight in the G9 and the G8 that has a fan built into the counterweight itself, we couldn't incorporate that around the counterweight into the G21 and the G15. So something pretty innovative is our team designed the backing plates on both of those 15s and 21s to have a fan built into that backing plate.
Ooh, that's
So
smart.
it helps to pull the air in from the vents or the gills on the side, down into the backing plate, into the pad, keeping your pad and surface temperatures a little bit cooler. Okay.
There, you saw it here first. You take that, Mr. Griot. No, just joking. No, I appreciate you bringing that in. Just we have a lot of people asking about that iron here, and I guess
I want to add one more thing, though.
okay. Oh,
So-
wait, there's more.
One more challenge that we've always had with pads, experienced detailers, myself or whoever else, is when you're taking those pads off, you typically grab that pad and your backing plate material goes all the way out to the edge as far as your Velcro. So when you're grabbing that, it's immediately starting to delaminate multiple times over a period of uses. So just like this backing plate here,
Here, can you put those closer together?
you
There
can see
go.
that you can see the difference. We have a little edge here that's got a slight reveal. There's no Velcro on that. It gives you a little bit of a lip that's loose, so when you grab your pad, you can have a little bit more of a finger grip to pull that off of there.
Good idea.
All right.
Look at you guys. Everybody's always thinking here. Could you imagine if y'all got together and what you guys could come up with if everybody pitched in on one project? Yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? One can only dream.
Dinner and a couple cocktails. Let's make it happen.
Justin says dinner and a couple cocktails. Let's make it happen.
Tomorrow night.
Let's see here. Read out that later is over for videos. Recommend. Okay, let's do this one. Do all of the manufacturers are on the table showing the polisher pad and product combinations for aggressiveness and paint use preference? Do all these manufacturers have tables showing polisher pad product? So you guys have reference areas?
We have it on our website.
You have it on your website? You guys have?
Yep, it's on our website, and also in our catalog, there's an aggression scale, so that covers all the pads, from rotary wool all the way down to microfiber DA. It's all on one page.
Then what about you, Justin? Do you guys? On your box, it has a little table thing right there too, right?
Has it on the box. We also have it in our catalog. And then you could reach out to us at Buff and Shine, whether it's directly at Buff and Shine Manufacturing or any of the Reflection Artist team members like myself.
Okay, now while I have you here, Justin, I'm just going to pull you up again a little bit longer. I guess my audio, because I was going back through here, the audio on you was cutting out or doing something funky. So can you just go over your your box pads real quick?
Yeah, I could try to do this again because my left to right and right to left is a little off.
All right, see, now you get to go twice. Sorry, this audio was breaking up a little bit.
We're angling. We're going
The
this
other
way. We're going that way.
There you
There we go. Right in the middle. Okay, so this is the Reflection Artist pad kit. You could buy all these pads individually. A few of these pads are actually something that we've already had in our arsenal. So, for example, opposite side, our yellow finishing pad here, our foam finishing pad. This is part of our Eurotech line. And then you go over to our maroon aggressive medium cut pad. That's part of our Eurotech line as well. So most people are familiar with these pads. They already have their own success. And then of course also our Eurofiber finishing pad here, which is a microfiber pad. So we have a full 5-pad lineup is what you see here. This covers upwards of 70% of paint systems in the market today. So it allows you to be able to get a very fine finish with this yellow foam pad and then a very aggressive cut with our Euro wool blend pad here. We have the 3 foam and the 2 fiber-based pads. That way it allows you to cover all the different approaches to paint correction or paint enhancement that you need. We did keep it open-ended, so that way when you have, where's that? I can't see. If this isn't good enough finishing, you could pick a favorite pad that's within our lineup or a personal preference you may have from a different manufacturer. That way you could get that final finish on finicky paint. Or again, going into the more aggressive, if this Euro wool blend doesn't cut it for you, then you could do something more aggressive within the Buff and Shine lineup, like a twisted wool or our knitted wool that we have for the Euro wool itself. Or again, another manufacturer that's a personal preference. That way we keep it open-ended so you can still accomplish the results you're trying to achieve overall with the paint system.
All right, so
And it
basically
keeps it
what you're
super
saying
simple.
is with your box, it's like you're all-in-one system. You can start here and you have something that will cover every type of paint that you have.
Yes.
All right, cool. Let me bring the guys back in here. Then let's actually, what equipment would you? All right, this one. This one's a good one for each and every one of you. Let's start off with Jim here. What equipment would you recommend someone to start out with for paint correcting before spending money on something like a flex? Nothing bad about you, but what would be a good? Actually, you guys have good entry level tools also. So, what would be a good entry level tool for a beginner out there? What would you recommend?
Come on.
I don't have it. I don't. I really don't know. I think Mike might be a good person because I use professional level tools only, and so I'm not too sure.
I'm just kidding.
I'm a little more on the chemical side, so I'd have to defer to one of these experts.
All right, Rod.
Hands down, our G9. I mean, that right there, without a doubt, is going to be the tool that if I were back in the game again and I had my detail business again, that would be my starter tool right off the bat.
I kind of saw this coming down the line.
Yeah.
Well, for entry level, you're trying to keep your expenses down. Something like the G9, 150, 160 bucks, and a good entry level tool is not difficult to learn how to use.
Lifetime warranty. That's huge.
And when you're starting out, a lot of times you're doing a lot of car washing and one steps. You'll start to get into paint correction, compounding, and coatings. But when you're first starting out, the focus is more on more simple things.
The techniques.
Well, simple, just using an AIO. Everybody should start out with a cleaner wax.
Well, how about this? Basically, what you guys are saying is what I mean. I know that you're going to go my Udos. You're going to want my Udos, and then you're going to say, "I want to go my flex." So I saw that all coming. So, how about what you could say that you probably recommend a random orbital before any forced rotation or rotaries? That would be a consensus.
A good random
Definitely
orbital.
before rotary.
Yep.
Okay.
And also just to add, a lot of people ask me, Mike, what tool should I buy first, or what tool should I buy? And I say, no. The question is, what tool should you buy first. You should always be planning on adding more tools to your arsenal as your experience and your skill gets better.
Right.
Okay.
Second tool, third tool, etc.
All right. Now, I guess this could go across for all of them. I mean, it's more. He has it for the G21. What effect would it have? What effect would it have on a G21 if you were to switch a 5-inch backing plate instead of the?
That's a great question. I mean, you have
I
that
mean, you-
ability.
Go ahead, sorry.
You know, if you have a 6-inch pad on here, and you've got a 21 millimeter, I mean, you're basically looking at what 7/8 of an inch in movement. You know, it's quite a bit. So if you were to downsize that footprint to a 5-inch, you can get a little bit more effectiveness in your defect removal capability. Plus, you might be able to work some of the contours, and the radius is a little bit better with a smaller pad on a larger throw.
Okay. Then this will be for Jason, Rod, and Justin. Come on, add to podcast. Does or will Lake Country or Griots make a 1-inch pad? And Justin, I'm going to throw you in there too for Buff and Shine. Do you guys all have 1-inch pads?
We have
We
1-inch.
do. We have them already. Yes.
And you have them too, Justin?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think Yancy, that question is, all the suppliers, all the distributors that carry our product, do they carry them?
Yeah. Very,
Autogeeks has them on their website.
well, yeah, we do, but I'm taking the question. Let's see here. I've got a few more questions that I got in here. Oh, I don't know about this one or not. For Griots, Lake Country, and Flex, any chance for a micro polisher similar to a Rupes hybrid for those tight, hard to reach spots? So micros.
I would say with the Pixie unit that we're not going to have SEMA this year, but we do have some different events that are going to happen, and I would say in the future you're going to see different accessories for a unit like this, and be able to get into those tight areas hopefully.
What about you, Griot? Any micro, mini?
My mic is not working.
My mic is
No.
not working. All right.
So as a detailer, I would love for us to come out with something like that. I know there are many situations that I've worked on in the past and currently that I would love to have a tool like that. So all I can say is we're looking at a lot of really cool things. I can't defer to a yes or no answer on that.
Stay tuned to this Bat channel, people. And what about Lake Country? We released the Udos. Is there like a Minus?
I do have to somewhat remain kind of quiet on some things.
See,
but
you guys hear it first.
But we do have some things coming down the pike. We do have other tools in development. I can't speak too much to what that is, but I can tell you that, as you see with the Udos, some unique features not on any other polisher in the market. Our next polisher also has some of the same attributes to it.
You let on more than I let you let on. So
It is a little smaller. I will say that.
okay. Okay, here's my Spanish-speaking guy finally got it translated. This is for you, Rod, for Mr. De Griot. What pads would you recommend for the G8 and G9? Greetings from Ecuador.
God, that's a really open question. So it depends on what he's working on. A good starting point, though, to be quite honest, would be our orange correcting pad. It is hands down a nice intermediate pad. It's going to give you the ability to polish and correct at the same time. And if you use that with our correcting cream or our fast correcting cream, you've got a lot of options there. I think the beauty of our system, our boss system, our pads and our creams, is you've got what's called pad flexing or product flexing. So you've got hundreds of choices to choose from to kind of get you just about any situation that you come across.
Yeah.
All right.
Being down in Ecuador, if you have the ability to get the G9, you probably have the ability to get the Boss creams and the Boss pads.
Correct.
And that is a well thought out system. In my 3-day and my 2-day detailing classes, I show that as a system because it is well thought out. The abrasive technology is top shelf. The pads are great pads. So if you stick with the Boss system, you can't go wrong.
Okay. Now, moving back over to... Say what, Justin?
Oh, I said that fast correction cream. That is
Fast
a
correction
money
cream.
maker.
Yeah, I know he likes that.
He's like, Rod's just over here smiling. He can't even hear. He's like, yeah, I know what he's talking about. Jim, this one is for you. NSP Z1. Can I apply ceramic coating directly over it?
Yes, you can.
You
Works
hear?
great.
So no more prep wipes, no more anything like that. You go.
You
straight
can leave that alone, or you could leave it. The question was to add on top of it, right?
The direct question is, can I apply a ceramic coating directly over it?
Yes.
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 All right, so there you go. You don't need to remove that product, people. Beasley, okay, right back at you again. Which Dr. Beasley's chemical leaves behind the glossiest shine?
I would have to say Nano Resin Pro.
Nano Resin Pro. There you go.
Is
Use
that
it with,
available to anybody or just pros?
I recommend it for pros.
Let's
It's
go
a
back on
very
that.
thick substance. It has no VOCs. Basically, it's a solid.
Okay.
It's a solid, but it goes on like
Do you
honey.
like wax it on
Okay,
or what?
No, it's an applicator. You see a few drops, but it's really thick, but it's not solvent based. Most of these ceramic nanotech coatings out there, they have a lot of solvents that gas off.
Okay.
This doesn't gas anything off.
Okay, cool.
So you put it on, it goes very.
So
thick.
I have a charger outside. No, just joking. Now let's go here, and this one's open to all of you guys, because I'm kind of curious about your guys's. I know a couple of your opinions on this, but let's see what it is. What are your opinions on graphene coatings? Is it just a fad at the moment, or does it still have a ways to go? Who wants to start that ball?
Well, I've worked with graphene for many years.
And look, if you don't know,
I
you
know.
are a chemist. And
Yeah, I'm a
stuff
chemist.
Like, yeah.
I've used it for many years, and I don't think haven't gotten the technology there yet. So it's a wonder. It's a wonder material. It's absolutely awesome on paper, but they haven't been able to put it in a solution where this is a very expensive ingredient to put it on for all the capabilities that it has. And so in its single layer form, in its mono layer, it's supposed to be 200 times stronger than steel. So if we're putting this stuff in a coating for a vehicle, it really needs to outperform everything that's out there. What I've seen so far, it's minimally performing above ceramic coatings right now. I haven't seen the wonder yet that ingredient can provide.
Now,
So I call it a hype type product right now.
is it? I know a lot of people ask me this on Detailing 101. What is the benefits of the graphene opposed to what would be the actual benefit of having a graphene coating or a ceramic coating? Since you are the chemist, if there is anything that's going on, what is the actual thing that's really sets it different than
Durability.
durability?
Durability. If it's stronger than steel, it's thin,
Okay.
it's clear, unless it's 50 layers. So it can be transparent, very strong durability. You can put this on, and this is the last coating you'd ever put on your vehicle.
So
If it's working, perfect.
durability and protection.
And protection.
So both. 'Cause
Yeah.
you could have something that offers great protection but doesn't last a long time. But what you want is something that offers great protection but also lasts a long time.
Right.
You could have both.
Justin, have you used any graphene coatings?
Just a few.
Justin?
Yes.
Now, what are your feelings on graphene and stuff? How are they working for you? I mean, you don't have to say
They're working
manufacturers,
great.
But you just, what are your feelings of it?
I actually have quite a few that I'm testing at this point, side by side, for application process and for, of course, durability, gloss, all the other good things that come as the byproduct. However, graphene, to Jim's point, the repellency is much greater than traditional coatings. Traditional coatings are great, but graphene just has a repellency that's just that much greater in regards to bird droppings, element wear, things of that nature that you would see typically with ceramic. You see much better characteristics with the graphene. And the shine is nice. I mean, everything about it, and each company has their own application process right now, but it is new and it is kind of hype. But at the end of the day, just like when ceramics came out, it was new and it was hype. It's just going to take time for evolution to take its place for it to be the next best thing for coatings.
Okay, all right, that makes total sense. He pretty much agreed with you. I knew that you couldn't hear him, but just saying that how it protects and stuff like that. So that is all good.
One thing I'd just like to say is one of the things I've learned is there's so much new technology being introduced at such a high rate of speed that we all have to be open to the next best thing. We can be cynical and think, well, I heard that it didn't work, but you don't want to miss out on something that gets introduced possibly by this guy right here because you may be believing someone else's, comments or experience. So
And that's correct. Today,
Yeah.
what we've seen,
Yeah.
and I hope someone comes up with something amazing. And I've tested some things, but it could be out there.
man, you got to have an open mind.
Absolutely.
There's new stuff coming out all the time. There's new stuff coming out all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not trying to talk bad about anything. We're, just, I know that's the kind of the buzzword right now on the internet is graphene. Everyone's graphene.
Yep.
And I know I get asked it quite a bit. You probably get asked it quite a bit, Arn.
Yeah. When I first heard about it, I was confused and I used gasoline, and it didn't protect at all. It sounded like graphene, and I had some in my car already.
All right, Mike. This one will be towards you. I'm going to take a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap it up because we are running about an hour and a half, and I think my guys are getting a little punch drunk over there. Do the tips and tricks are in your book about the beast apply to the cordless beast? Everything the tips and tricks that you have in your 34-1 book.
Faux show.
Faux show.
Faux show. Yes.
Faux show.
Yes.
Okay, Mike is getting tired. We can see that.
The most important thing about the Sea Beast is just learning how to lock this thing in
Ow! Right by the mic.
and then
That was
slide
right
your
by the
hand
mic,
down
thank
here
you.
and hold it like this. Some guys like to do this. I find it a little bit heavy on this end, but I always find myself just grabbing it like this and then operating the tool.
All right. Last question, I should say. Oops. Nope. Yeah, I'm going to ask this one. He was just replying to that. This is back at you, Jim. Can Z1 be applied over Z1, or is it defeating the purpose since it already has abrasive in it?
No, you can apply it right on top of it.
That just means I'll make more, right?
Yeah. You may hit it. You may have some issue or scratches or something. You want to hit it again. That's fine.
Okay.
How about this? If you do a second coat, are you layering? Are you creating a thicker end result of protection?
Yeah. Yeah. Thicker and diminishing returns. Right.
Okay,
The
gotcha.
second layer won't be as thick as the first.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
But let me just share something. One of the most common questions people have is they put somebody's coating on a car and then they get scratches. Then they're like, well, what do I got to do to fix the scratches? Well, you got to compound the paint right there or polish the paint, which will take the coating off. Now you got to put the stuff back on. With Z1, if you got some scratches where you already had Z1, it's a real quick, simple fix. You just use Z1 again till the scratches are gone and walk away. You're
And wipe
done.
it off and you're
Yeah, wipe it off. You're done. It's really the lazy man's way, if you ask me. I like it.
All right, I have one more question coming in. He's asking me, please. So, WD Brought, what is your question? I'm waiting for him to type. While he's typing, let's figure this out. Justin, for you, your own vehicle, coating or wax guy?
Coating all day long.
All right, Jim.
Easier to
Coating.
maintain.
All right, coating.
Yep.
Ceramic 3-in-1.
All right.
Coating.
Coding.
Coating.
They're all coating my car after this video. That's what I was just making sure. They all have practice, aren't it? All right.
I actually have graphene on my personal vehicle.
Well, look at you, mister. He's saying he has graphene on his right now, so.
And I got gasoline on
And
mine.
yeah, Mike's got gasoline on his. All right. Okay. WD Brought. I'm thinking that this is your question. I feel like the Sea Beast vibrates too much when I hold it from the battery. Do you feel the same way, Mike? I think that's his last question.
Things like that just don't affect me. I'm more focused. I don't care what's happening to me. I want the car done. So
Okay.
I put my focus somewhere else.
Okay. All right. For that being said, do you all have any other little things that you want to interject before?
No?
No? You just like cut me loose, turn the CV off, and let's go. All right, Justin, I want to say thank you for tuning in from up there. For the people at the beginning, what do you call it? Sorry, we had a little bit of
I have a
issues.
question. One more for everybody.
Okay.
Country, rock, or rap?
Oh, God.
I listen to a lot of country.
Eclectic.
Yeah.
Jason.
I actually listened to them all, to be perfectly honest with you.
Jim.
Country rap? No, I'm sorry.
So Kid Rock or
I'll listen to rock.
And
a little bit of rock and rap.
country rock.
All right, Justin, what about you?
A little bit of rock and mostly rap.
He's a little bit of rock, mostly rap. All right, well, with that being said, I want to say thank you to all of you out there that have tuned in. And like I said at the beginning, I'm sorry we had a little curveball. We won't mention who, but we had a little curveball, so what do you call it? We just we wung it. It was live. So you saw what happens and you make it work. And
We
that's what
wung
we
it
did.
or we wing it?
We wung it.
Or wang it.
We wung it.
Thank you.
Thank you. But no, what do you call it? We wanted to bring this all to you guys. Again, if you're new to this channel, please like, share, hit the subscription bell, all this stuff. And if you find these useful, share them with your buddies, share them with your friends, and we definitely appreciate each and every one of you. Mike, what do we always say at the end of this?
Hey, thanks for being with us this week. Don't remember next week, Thursday, 3 p.m. What's our topic next week? Do we have one?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah. Share the topic for next week. It's always something fun and exciting. And
now you put
we
me-
cover tons of tips and techniques. And the best part is being able to take your questions in real time.
I'm trying to remember where I had them. I do have it. Hold on.
The recent glass polishing one was really popular. I remember that. And we're going to do another one in the future, but this time going to be on topical glass polishing, not subsurface glass polishing. Two different types. And I'm going to teach them both this weekend at this class.
Mike, how much experience do you have? How long have you been in this business?
Yeah, well, I looked. Thank you for dragging that out. 'Cause I'm looking.
We'd have to go back. Why'd you ask that
No,
question?
because I saw your video. The content that you had was just amazing of the experience that you put out there.
I
said,
started
wow.
detailing cars in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The
but-
information that you get is amazing.
Well, there's something
this
to be
is one
said
of the
for
best
experience.
channels out there.
Thank you.
Okay, here's what we have coming up. This will be the first 4 weeks of October. If you guys are all paying attention, you want to put this on your calendars. I will be making events for all these. October 1st, we'll be doing Compounds Explain, the history of compounds and their differences, such as SMAT, diminishing, non-diminishing, how to test what one you actually have.
Nanospheres.
Nanospheres,
Well, now
man-made spheres.
Now we have new categories. Thanks, Dr. B. October 8th, Rupes News Products and Demo. That'll be all their new their pads
Their
and
new,
polishes.
yeah, their new DA system.
Their new DA system, which I've yet to play with.
That's
October 15th, Coding Explained Ceramic Graphene Spray. So we got a little bit of information out of this one. So thank you guys for that. Then that one we're going to try to get. Actually, some of these we're actually going to try to get some of the vendors on with us also, so that way they can talk to us a little bit more about that. And then the last, October 22nd, we'll be doing Flex 3401 tips, tricks, and maintenance, which we will have a video. We did shoot a video with Chris about it, so I will release that. Then we'll do a live on it, so that way you can see it in live time.
Awesome.
All right, so that's it. What do we say, Mike?
Tune in next week, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you want to sign up for my newsletter, shoot me an email, mike.phillips@autogeek.net. Get on my newsletter list.
All right, say bye, guys.
See y'all.
See you
later.
guys.
Join
Thank you.
us.
Bye.